Right. Welcome to the April Science webinar. We're tickled to have you here with us today. I'm Carissa Daniels, the Assistant Division Chief of Wildlife Education. And our presentation today is going to be about our North Carolina Youth Shooting Sports Program. Presenting for us today are our Eastern and Western Engagement Program field supervisors, Casey Williams and Chase Luker. They have been in their roles for almost a year now, and the two programs they're talking about are a big part of what their teams do in the field, especially during this time of year. You hear about March Madness, most people think basketball, but for wildlife education, it's youth shooting sports tournament season. So at this time, I'll turn it over to them and let them tell you about the program and the legacy it's built for our agency.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday and happy turkey season. Like Ms. Daniel said, name's Chase Luker. Real proud to present specifically about North Carolina YHIS, which stands for Youth Hunter Education Skills Tournament. So there's 3 shooting disciplines in there, and then there's a hunter skills discipline. So it makes up, 4. There are 4 components to it. Obviously it's a team event, but individuals make up that team, and they compete for individual honors, but more specifically, team honors, and for a chance to advance from their district tournament at one of our 9 district tournaments to the state event. You see right here, these guys and girls are participating in archery. That's one of the 3 disciplines of the shooting disciplines. Also, there's rifle, shotgun, and then the hunter skills I mentioned earlier. Chris, if you would show me the next slide, please. Do you see that? Obviously, this tournament's been going on for nearly half a century. There are some blue-blooded teams, and they collect a lot of hardware every year. But each year we have new teams that kind of step forward and develop their skill set. And every year this competition gets better and better. But you see obviously the big overall trophy right there, and the plaques are often individual awards. So it's really cool to see those youth refine their skills and get better at those 4 disciplines. Let's see the next slide. All right, so it's a program built off community and partnerships. Obviously, our division, Wildlife Education, we work very closely with law enforcement division to execute these tournaments. Again, there's 9 at the district level, and they range from anywhere from about 15 teams to, I think our largest has about 70 teams. It is an all-day event, no matter the size, and the more teams you got, the more volunteers and state staff that you have at those things. So we started this thing back in 1978, and today it is the model that so many other states hope to emulate. So when we got this thing going, we had ag ed departments in North Carolina FFA. That first event, that first state tournament, had about 20 schools and 130 participants. Now we cap our state tournament at 60 teams, and there are hundreds of participants there, and all told, there's probably well over 1,000 spectators, coaches, volunteers, officers, and other agency staff. So here we are 48 years later. We've got 2,700 folks that participate in this thing at the district level. There's 345 teams this year. I'll be able to demonstrate the growth in that program here shortly. But it's from, everybody's heard the saying, from Murphy to Manio. That is the case. We span the state. I think our furthest northeast team is actually Currituck, and their kids from Knott's Island that participate on that team. And they have to, for a lot of those kids, if they want to go to school, they either catch the ferry or they have to drive through Virginia. So pretty neat to see that. It really are just all over the place, and it's so entrenched in so many communities, especially in rural places. It's a primary game in town, and I know where I started my career in District 1, it really is March Madness for a lot of these folks, and being able to being a part of the state tournament for the last 10 years, it really is a lot of fun to kind of see the same coaches and see new coaches and those that have sort of got a winning formula for developing, good safe shooters, and then other ones that are advancing. Next slide, please. All right, so same goal, growing community. Traditionally, these teams were school-based, and we've worked away from that, but schools have worked away from that too. Granted, there are still a lot of schools that are involved, but today teams are associated with clubs, their homeschool associations, 4-H teams, and other community organizations. It could be Ducks Unlimited or Delta Waterfowl or some other locally based conservation organization. So teams have to have 5 participants to participate in each thing or in each discipline. The total score per discipline is 1,000 points. So each student would do their part to try to earn 200. So if everybody scores a 200, which is a perfect score, in shotgun you've got 1,000. If you do in the other 3 disciplines, you have a perfect 4,000. Anytime you're at a big competition, you see 3,600 points. That's a very competitive score. Teams must also compete in all 4 of those disciplines. You can't say, well, we don't have a shotgun team or we don't have an archery team. It really is a team event, and our rules are shaped that way to promote growth and development within young target sport shooters. All right, next. So I'll show you some of the disciplines. Obviously, if you see the kid right here, he's shooting the double barrel shotgun. So he's shooting shotgun, and they get 20 targets from 5 different stations, and they have to hit those things. So at the district level, that thrower or that trap is right there kind of at their feet, and they're positioned around it. If you look at the left-hand side of your screen down there, those kids are all lined up in notation, and that thrower's going to come out. It's going to present the target kind of, at about knee height, and they try to shoot that thing at about 25, 30 yards out. Now at state, we position that thing down range a little bit. Obviously, it's remote operated, so it presents a little more of a challenge for them. So this is actually at the state competition. That's why we don't see the trap there. But again, if you shoot a 20 out of 20, that's a good score, and you go into what they call the shoot off, and then that's a competition where they all have to try to shoot doubles. The shotgun is a lot of fun, and depending on as you travel across the state, some disciplines are kind of more favored by one discipline or the other. A lot of it depends on just hunting culture and shooting culture. I know it seems to me like the further west I go, the more people are kind of keyed in on shooting rifle or archery, whereas the further east you are, a lot more bird hunters, things like that. So they're just a little more adept at shooting a shotgun. That's not to say that there's not some 200s that come out of any district. There are certainly a lot of them. It's not uncommon to see anywhere from 10 to 20 in that shoot off. All right, next. So again, rifle, this is one that's always competitive, and it can be very close. 200 is a perfect score. We may see one of those at the state competition. There may be a couple of them, at the district level, but they're shooting at a bullseye with possibly, the maximum possible is 10 points per bullseye, and of course there's 20 targets on there, and then there's a 10x circle as well. And if they break that, we use that to break any ties if we need to. So there are 4 different stances that they actually shoot in as well. So this is the standing position. There's also the kneeling, the sitting, and the prone position, all meant to kind of replicate any kind of posture that you might have to use or employ while you're big game hunting or small game hunting with a rifle. Now everybody shoots a 22 caliber. At the district level, it's at 50 feet, and at the state level, we back it up to 75 feet, and it's still very competitive. We try to make state compelling and competitive as we can, and kids still, they just get really, really good at it. All right, next. Archery, of course, kind of rounds out those shooting disciplines, and again, we back that up from the district level. We add an additional uh, five yards right there. Again, maximum score is 200. Not uncommon to see a couple of 200s at the state and at the district level. It is a very competitive event, and a lot of fun. A lot of fun. All right, next slide. All right, and what's probably, this may be my favorite portion of it, is the hunter skills discipline. So at the district level, they take a 100-question test, and we do all we can to make it tough and challenging, but also give them a chance to learn some skills and study the book. And so it's based out of the today's hunter textbook, which is what our hunter education certification course is derived from, as well as current Hunting Regulations Digest. At the state level, it's set up as a trail, and these youngins right here are going through that trail, and so it may look like, there could be like a taxidermy deer out there, and they look at it, and there'll be a question posed to them like, is this a shoot or don't shoot, and they have to evaluate the situation, if the shot is safe and things like that, and make a determination and go from there. Again, that one is worth 200 points as well, and it is a lot of fun. All right, next. All right, so I want to give everybody a chance to play along. This is sort of what our test might look like. So if you want to, use the chat to answer the question. So number one, deer and bear may be taken with a handgun during an established gun season. The maximum barrel length is A, there is no restriction on barrel length, B, 8 inches, C, 10 inches, or D, 14 inches. See if I can pull up the chat and see what kind of answers we got cooking here. I don't mind awkward silence. Y'all put some answers in there. Okay, got one in there. I'll give you 5 more seconds. All right, so the answer is A. The answer is A. There is no restriction on barrel length. All right, number 2, the daily limit on coots is A6, B10, C15, or D20. So that's a multi-part question right there. You've got to know what a coot is. Most people would assume it's a joke. And then you have to know the regulations. So this is how we really develop those hunting skills. So the answer is C, 15. You can harvest 15 coots in a day. Coots are a member of the rail family. They are migratory waterfowl. Have to have a harvest information program certificate. That is a lot of coots, Corey. There are parts of the waterfowling world where they are held in very high esteem. And there are also just as many parts where they are not. And in the last one, number 3, Buckhorn Game Land is located in blank county. A, Orange, B, Terrell, C, Hyde, D, Ashe. Oh, we got one in there. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Gregory. They are good. Or he's in the clubhouse sitting on Orange, and he is right. He is right. Sorry, Sydney. The answer showed up at the very end. So yeah, Orange. And a lot of times I learn stuff when we're developing these tests, and it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. All right. Well, nice job on those. All right, next. All right, so I mentioned earlier how I could demonstrate that growth. You see, we start in 2015 there, and it goes through 2025. Those dips right there in the middle, 2020. We had 48 teams participate that year, and I believe that was only at the District 5 tournament. That was the year that COVID forced us all to kind of alter what we do, and that was the only was the only tournament we were able to pull off. And then the next year we started to kind of bounce back with what we called remote tournaments, where instead of having everybody gather at one location, we went to remote locations. So last year we had 322. We're going to be able to put our tallest block in the last 10 years up here in about a week and a half, because we've got, I think, 345 teams this year that participated. So fun to see that growth. And that's a testament to, the volunteers that are the lifeblood of our hunter education program, enforcement helping these tournaments be delivered, and again our dedicated education staff too that really plug and play a lot of the pieces. All right, next. All right, so why is YHIS successful? There is a strong community. A lot of these coaches network with each other. Youth practice and participate with each other. There are proven partnerships between tournament location sites. I know, there's several private shooting ranges, state-owned summer camps that we use. And again, those dedicated staff and volunteers really make this just so strong and continue to grow. And it really is, it is a lot of fun to be a part of something that's really this big, and that people from across the country admire so much. So I think that's the last slide that I've got. And I just thanks everybody for being here and learning a little bit about North Carolina YHIS.
And now it is my turn. So, hey all, like Carissa said, I'm Casey Williams, and just circling back to the coots conversation, I got the airport cooties traveling back from a Texas turkey hunt. So I apologize in advance for the congested voice. But I'm happy to present on the next shooting program that is housed within the Wildlife Education Division that we're going to highlight today. And that's going to be North Carolina's Archery in the Schools program, better known as NASP. As an avid archer myself, I truly believe in the importance of expanding the reach of this sport. If anyone wants to out themselves as a fellow archer, please let us know in the chat box. And if you want to be judged, feel free to also put the type of bow you shoot in there as well. So today, I get to discuss what the program is and how it impacts individual participants, how the program ties into conservation, and what we hope for the future as the program continues to be one of our most impactful educational programs. Next slide. So let's start with what exactly NASP is and how does it differ from the YHIS program that Chase just talked about. So the National Archeries in the School program is an in-school curriculum designed to improve educational performance for students that are in grades 4 through 12. Through NASP, students develop focus, self-control, discipline, and patience. These are skills that translate directly to success both in the classroom and in life in general. I believe that, next slide. Okay, one of the greatest strengths that NASP has is its inclusivity, which is made possible through a highly standardized program design. This standardization ensures all environment, that the learning environment is safe, durable, economical, and most importantly, designed to fit nearly every student. Click. Next. In NASP, the emphasis is placed on learning the process and fundamentals of archery rather than solely focusing on the score itself. All equipment is standardized across the program, including bows, arrows, target faces, the cues, the whistle blasts, everything. Next slide. The only bow that's allowed to be used for NASP is the Genesis bow, which is a compound bow featuring no let off, but it is adjustable from 10 pounds to 20 pounds of draw weight, and it's able to accommodate any draw length. The program also uses a standardized arrow, the Easton 1820 aluminum Genesis arrow, ensuring that there's consistency and safety for all the participants. Next slide. So North Carolina officially adopted NASP into our repertoire of programs in 2002. The program follows an international target style archery format and serves students, like I said, from grades 4th through 12th. In 2016, our agency hired a full-time NASP coordinator, which was a major turning point for the program. At that time, NASP consisted of about 20 active schools and roughly 300 archers. Today, we are supporting 140 schools with 18,623 archery participants statewide. Having a dedicated staff member to focus solely on the program has been the key to its growth and continued long-term success. If you've ever worked with Lee Scripture, that has been his role, and he's really done well with archery the last few years. Next slide, please. So the question, next slide.
We're phrased, so give it a minute.
Okay, I'm just going to keep going. How about that?
Okay.
So the question we can ask now is, why introduce archery into the schools? Well, there are a few great reasons. When archery itself is compared to other athletic activities that are offered in school, we can categorize it as really safe. When comparing the number of injuries and incidents that occur in other sports such as baseball, volleyball, football, archery has nothing recordable when compared to those numbers. Archery is also a very adaptable sport. You don't have to be the fastest, the tallest, or the strongest person to shoot archery. Archery leans heavily on that hand-eye coordination, balance, and focus. And typically your upper body strength develops over the amount of repetitions you have when doing the activity. Another positive to archery is that there is data to support that participation in the sport improves behavior, self-esteem, motivation, and who amongst us couldn't stand to improve on at least one of those? The sport also promotes mindfulness, relaxation, and confidence through achieving goals and mastering a skill, and thus directly impacting the youth's psychological well-being. We're very fortunate in North Carolina that it is also a supplemental unit in elementary and physical education. What stops a lot of schools from offering the National Archery in the Schools program is because staff either cannot get the training or they cannot get the equipment. But that is something that we as an agency can provide them through a cost share on equipment and offering trainings to those teachers and administration that are interested in the program. Next slide, please. So we talk about archery style or international archery style, but how do we make the connection back to conservation? Well, in partnerships at the national level with the International Bow Hunters Organization, they have created and offered a 3D archery competition for our NASP students. We have schools here in North Carolina that participate in both the bullseye competition and the 3D competition, as shown in the picture on the screen. It's still growing, but in the 2025 season, we had 49 schools and a little over 1,000 archers at the regular bullseye tournament. And then for the 3D, we had about 9 schools and 185 archers. So we know there's a growing interest from the traditionally bullseye shooters in being part of this 3D shooting event. Next slide, please. So connecting NASP to conservation. Well, first of all, it's a recruitment pipeline because it introduces millions of students, again, grades 4 through 12, to shooting sports, creating a large pool of young people familiar with archery, which is a fundamental skill for hunting. It's also a joint venture with state fish and wildlife agencies, us, the Wildlife Resources Commission, who see it as a vital tool for engaging with youth in conservation. It can be used to bridge the gap for many urban or suburban youth with no outdoor background. NASP offers their first positive experience with a shooting sport, potentially leading them to hunting, fishing, and other outdoor pursuits that fund conservation. With increased participation in shooting sports, funded by NASP, translates to more people buying licenses, stamps, and equipment which again generates crucial funds for wildlife management and habitat conservation. This program also promotes outdoor ethics. It teaches discipline, focus, respect, values that extend to responsible behavior in the outdoors and supporting conservation ethics. And then the NASP archers often progress to hunting, with many successfully harvesting game and demonstrating a link between the school program and traditional conservation activities. Next slide, please. So we've talked a lot about participation throughout the presentation so far, but let's get a visualization of how many are participating in NASP and where are they located in our state. Next slide, please. And boom, we see that we've got a pretty good representation of schools participating from across the state, but you will see that it's heavier in the western section, particularly in the District 8 areas. Next slide, please. As we look at our NASP participation growth, I want to first give a disclaimer that the first line showing 22 appears that we didn't do anything, but just as background knowledge, in the 2015-2016 season, mandatory reporting started. And with any new system, it usually takes a few years for people to get accustomed to it. So we did have schools before that participating. They just weren't made to report their numbers to us. But the solo school that did report their numbers had 22 participants. And then looking at the chart overall, you can see a steady incline of participation since the mandatory reporting was in place. And we'll just ignore that little blip of 2020, 2021, when everything was kind of a hot mess for COVID. Next slide, please. Not only have we seen an increase in individual participants, but we've also been able to watch the interest amongst schools increase as well. From this graph, you'll see, again, we started with one school who was reporting their information, but quickly increased once that mandatory reporting was implemented in the 2015-2016 season. The program has continuously expanded its reach and is in at least 140 schools this season. There are many measurable units of success, and from these two graphs, you can see that we are trending up with the program. But how can we see this, that this program is reaching our goals and supporting the continued relevance and impact of the agency? Next slide, please. Again, there's many units to measure success, and from the previous two graphs, we're going to look at it a different way. So right here, we've got several different individuals, some you'll probably recognize. The first one is going to be Natalie Bell. She held multiple national championships and then received scholarship money from NASP based on her performance in the program. She is the daughter of one of our retired wildlife officers, Clint Bell, in the western part of the state. Next, you've got Corey. He was a YHEST participant. He received an air rifle scholarship to the University of Akron. Without this, he may not have gone to college, but he graduated in the spring of 2025 and was a temp with us until this last month. Next, we've got Drake, who, again, a YHEST participant, which introduced him to ASA archery competitions, where he received numerous scholarships to help pay for his college at East Tennessee. He'll be graduating this spring. And then our last three are current employees of the agency. So you'll see Cody there participated in Four Bush's YHEST team and traveled to many national championships. Next, you've got Matthew, who had success with a Western YHEST team. And then Colonel Philip Lucas participated in the Nash County YHEST team. And we won't talk about how many years ago that was. Next slide, please. And with that, hopefully I did a good job covering all the facets of NASP. And we can open it up to questions if you have it. Carissa?
Thank you, Casey. Thank you, Chase. If you do have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll happy to answer those for you. Both these programs are near and dear to my heart. and we've seen some great success, and we're getting ready to start off with state tournaments in a couple of weeks for YHAS. Well, I shouldn't say a couple of weeks. It's actually not this weekend, but next weekend is our state tournament for YHAS. And then, of course, we'll begin the national round of tournaments for both NASP and the YHEC program. So, Joe Folta, why the huge jump in the number of schools participating post-COVID? Basically, we were able to get back at it. Casey and Chase both were still in the field at that time. Y'all want to talk about how that transition went from COVID to getting back into the game of things?
So since Chase has his thing muted, but he's still talking, I'll go ahead and jump in there and answer on our behalf. So the 2021 version of YHAS looked a little different. If you can think back to it, we had social distancing protocols in and mass gathering stipulations. So during that season, we did virtual tournaments, meaning we came out to individual school practice sites and let them compete, and then just compared all the numbers across the district. And then I think it was a little bit more lenient when it came down to the state time. But during that, I think a lot of people were able to get teams together. They didn't have to travel anywhere. You know, they practiced on their home field, so it was a lot less intimidating. And honestly, people were just looking to connect. So it worked out really well, and people really jumped up in the numbers on those. Chase, do you have anything different that you experienced?
No, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, for a couple of years, I felt like I got a phone call every day. Man, when are we going to be able to get back at it? I don't, a lot of the coaches and volunteers that I work with just, they love what they do. And, while we didn't have a tournament I guess in 2020, there were a lot of those teams still, I think they got together and still practiced. And, I guess at their own level. And I know that second year there were teams that wanted to get back in, but just didn't feel capable of actually hosting one of those remote tournaments that you alluded to.
Any other questions? That was a good question. Well, we thank you for y'all's time today. I will say, if you're interested in coming out to the state tournament, reach out to myself, Casey, or Chase. We'd love to see y'all out there to see it. There's also opportunity for divisions to set up in the alley. We do an exhibit alley. There'll be about 5,000 people there. We kind of have an infield, kind of like NASCAR, for teams to kind of be set up at. And then the education alley is across the way. Several of your divisions already are going to be there, but we welcome anybody that would like to come see, volunteer. It's a great time to interact with folks from across the state. That being said, if there's no more questions, our next webinar will be May 12th. The speaker is going to be coming from UNC Wilmington, Brian Arbogast. I hope I said that correctly, Heather. He is going to be presenting on some genetic work with small mammals. So that should be really good. But again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of us. We're happy to talk to you about our programming, especially YHAS and NASP. And we hope everybody has a great day.
Thanks, y'all. Good to see y'all.
Thank y'all.